Today's video gonna be a little more vloggy than my previous ones. As seen in the intro there, driving the 75 Continental today, baby. Let's go. Yeah, so today, starting off the day, we're gonna run to Jewel Osco, as one does. I gotta get some charging bricks because I don't got any here at my shop. So we're gonna start by going there, getting that, and I figure, what better time than to drive a car that gets 8 miles to the gallon on premium, you know? So I think that's where we start, right? Easy peasy. Here we are at the great suburban Jewel Osco. This car is pretty sick. So this is a Holley EFI digital screen. Tells me coolant temp, RPM, all that, because this car has a clock, fuel gauge, and the speedo. That's it. There's not much going on here. There are some things in the works, like my fuel pump doesn't work at all. Well, the sensor on it doesn't work, so I don't know how much gas is in the tank. We just go off feel. And then new engine that's built has 470 horsepower with 650 foot-pounds of torque at... set me down. 650 foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPMs. So, pretty beefy engine. It's a 545 big block reboard 460. Had this built out in North Carolina and shipped back here. It took forever, like a year. So I'm happy it's finally running on all that. Cruise control doesn't work, and I got some other quirks that I have to figure out. Got the scrap hood on it, which is why this sucker ain't pretty, but you know, she's getting done. Yep, got what we came for, you know. Stupid expensive charging brick for $15. I don't know what makes this so special, but it's the only one they had. Case of the best basic energy drink in the world. So let's hope this bad boy starts up, and then see you when I get to the shop. So I don't think I've ever given anyone a shop tour. Well, people in person, yeah, but this YouTube account here. So here's where I get all my work done. Normally I got my drill press over there, but right now it's being loaned out. So we got the blasting cabinet, air compressor, stuff like that. And then once you come back here, here's some more like belt sanders, bench grinder, stuff like that. And then coming back in here, we've got my grandfather's office. Not really in use. There's my hood. Thunderbird parts. And here is my office. Not the cleanest in the world for sure. That's where I do all my Cerakote work. And yeah, more T-Bird parts. But yeah, basically that's the shop tour. Not a whole ton in here right now. I still have the mill and lathes back in the corner across the shop. Round over here. Go check those out, why not? But this here was started by my grandfather. We started out in another location and moved over here. Got some Enco lathes. Real big lathe. We're trying to get rid of this one. Too big. And here's my mill, where when I do decide to mill stuff, it's going to be on here. All the crack and rehandles are going to be done on here. So it should be a good bit of fun. All right, everyone. I know that intro is a little bit different than how I normally do them. I know I normally just jump into like right here when I start getting into the knife. Thought I'd switch it up a little bit because it's, you know, about that time. We're going to be reviewing my first ever knife. I'm just pulling your leg. We're going to be covering the Static Knives Artemis. This was sent to me by a guy on Instagram named Tris Flips. I'll put his @ in the comments, or his link. So far, I'm pretty impressed for, you know, I believe it's his first or second, you know, full production. Box wise, very nice box. Well, I don't know. Everyone loves a zip case or a little pouch, such as, grab one here. These JK design ones, man, dusty. But, you know, the zip pouch is kind of like the gold standard when it comes to high-end stuff, especially if you're spending $1,000. This for, I think he retails them for like $300, $400. I think $350, $400. I think this is more than enough for packaging. Opening her up, you know, we have a very, very I don't know, what's the opposite of dense? Airy foam. And then the Artemis is within this box with a 3D printed filler. This is kind of tight, which is the one thing I noticed. Good for not having the knife move around. A little bit of a pain in the butt for actually putting it back into the case. You have to like squeeze the handles as you pull it out, because like right now, I mean, you can't really wiggle it out none. But here it is. This one is a heat anode standard blade. So very nice knife for the money. Well, I'll get into my qualms a little bit later. But it comes in at, let me get my scale. Put the box somewhere else. Turn that scale on, grab my calipers, wherever I put those. Who knows? It's not great. Anyway, weight on this bad boy, it feels really light in hand. I'm going to take a stab. I'm going to say it's 4.1 ounces. Let's take a look. I was off. 3.428 ounces. Very, very light knife compared to anything else I've owned or flipped. This knife reminds me a lot of the Machine Wise Slift. I owned the first run version of it. I got like a little backdoor in, but I couldn't deal with it because it was just too light for me. Let me go find my calipers and we'll get to measuring this bad boy out. All right, now we got the calipers. You know, I'm not going to do a full review on my calipers or nothing like that. So coming in, the bottoms of this are, measure this right. Let's get the dead bottom. This is 4.72, so a little under half an inch tall. Width at the widest, kind of hard to measure with how it's done. We're going to go with 5.20, so a little over half an inch. One of the things that this knife has that works against it is that it was water jet cut and then rounded. There wasn't a ton in getting rid of these hard edges, and you'll feel them, at least I do, on this one. You know, I'm working with a sample size of 1. Never handled static knives as work previously, but overall, for a full production knife from one guy, pretty impressive. The blade steel, I want to say is, I don't know, maybe 154 cm or D2. I'll put it in the comments. It's not D2. I know it's not D2. Maybe 154 S35. The screws on this do stick out just a hair, especially on the sex bolts. You'll feel them while you're flipping. Same with the pivots and the Zen screws. So that is something that you could say works against it. I don't notice them while flipping it. I mainly notice the edges on the inside of the handles here, and then this edge right here. Let's see if I can get to focus. This edge right here is pretty sharp. But apart from that, it's pretty nice. It is kind of interesting for balance. You're going to feel the weight consistently throughout the blade, and then there's a lot of weight at the ends. So it is very similar to like an embargo. I would call this here an ultralight embargo, if that makes any sense. I know the embargo is not a great thing to compare it to because not everyone's flipped an embargo, but if you have handled an embargo, you'll know what I'm talking about. The finish for a heat ano, which is, you know, kind of a simpler finish. I am pretty impressed by it, especially with the spacers, because that's really consistent. I have not been a huge fan of heat anos. I know he makes different finishes, but the heat ano will kind of seep into the titanium a little further than surface level, and it's a pain in the butt to remove. Or when you go to refinish it, you can kind of tell that it's been heat anoed. You know, it stays with the knife, kind of becoming the knife's history. Let's see some other specs. Handle length. Get out the trusty calipers again. I thought these handles felt a little bit short. See if that is the case. So overall handle length, we're coming in at 5.59. using some guesstimation here, I'm gonna say, actually, hell, I don't need to guesstimate this. I can do one of these. You're really not gonna feel this bottom point area. It kind of ends right here is when you'll feel, or what you'll feel while flipping it. And if we take that measurement, it is roughly 5.265. Well, you know, they aren't the most accurate measurements. If I wanted that, I'd have to get the CAD files for this or ask Static specifically. Bushings on this one here, I have no idea the full history of this. I'm not the first owner, nothing like that, but the bushings are good. I mean, this thing is tight, very little wobble, and it really feels solid while flipping it. It's got a nice little ring to her. You know, not a bad little knife, assuming, you know, you consider it little. Trying to think if there's anything else I would note. If I were to get one of these, I would probably get one and then send it off or do it myself. Bead blast, you know, maybe tumble it and then bead blast it. Just try and get rid of these edges. Because your finger's going to sink in right here into this spot because it's kind of a big hole. If you're fanning and you do fans like I do where you kind of move your thumb to push it, your thumb sits in here and you'll feel those edges. And I'd probably take it to a sander and just round, you know, this spot here. That would be what I would fix. Some people, like the owner, said he does not mind the edges at all. He says it helps with grip. The heat ano on this is pretty slick. There is not a like super hard texture on it. You can tell that this was sanded pretty fine before heat anode. Like it is almost slippery if it wasn't for all these holes. Some other things to note are this uses an 1/8 inch sex bolt for the bottom, 256 screws. These are the nice 256 screws as well. UKM makes this head shape, or, you know, it might have been bought from TrueLink. I'm not 100% sure. They're kind of like the same entities. The sex bolt, I have no idea. I'd have to, well, hell, I could have an idea. Let me just measure this out. Sex bolt here is coming in. I'm going to say that's probably 5/32 is my guess. For the thickness of it, it's just a solid 5/32 threaded barrel. And then if you go onto the blade thickness, we've got a 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. So the blade does look a little thin on this compared to anything else I own. Let's see what is a comparable thickness. I think it's really just the chamfers that make it look so thin, especially when looking at it dead on. Because if you look at like a squid blade, you know, the squid blade looks way beefier, but it is only, squid blade's actually a little bit thinner. So it's just an appearance kind of thing for the difference between the two. Put this away. The finish on this is actually very nice. I really like that blade finish. BRS did it with the select blades. I know a lot of makers use it where you bead blast the blade and then you satin the flats. I think that is a very classy finish and it looks amazing. I mean, Static did a very good job on the finish of this blade. The blade does not have any noticeable pinch points or anything like that. I haven't been pinched by it. The edge is not the sharpest I've seen. Let's get a piece of paper. So shout out to American Metal Exchange for sending me some goodies. Here's his number and his website. Goodies with shipment of titanium. Damn, that paper just tears away super easy. Very nice. See if she'll cut paper. Not a ton. You know, it's a little dull. I have no idea how it ships from factory. Like I said, not my knife. That being said, it is not the worst edge I've seen ever. If we go to, say, my pocket knife here, and this will show you. This is how paper should cut, assuming my edge is still there. That is not any better at all. That is awful. Try another knife. This is a knife that I use every time I go to sharpen. I just practice putting an edge on this one. Picked it up at a Renaissance fair. See, this bad boy is still sharp. And nothing crazy. I don't have a ton of sharp, like super sharp edges, and that's been abused to where my EDC has been abused to where I need to resharpen it again. It's like every time I'm home, I got to resharpen that. Some other things to note are the slab thickness. So the spacers on this just sit straight within the slab. You know, the slabs are flat, spacers are flat. It's not like the Embargo where there's like a pocket milled out for a taller spacer. Slab thickness is coming in at 125, so 1/8 inch slabs. Spacers are gonna be 225, so not a bad spacer height at all. I know I'm using a similar size for my Kraken rehandles. 3/16 pivot. I am sure, without even taking this apart, just by looking at it, it uses a 20 thou 3/16 ID by 375 OD washer. I don't know, just overall, it's a very solid little knife. And I like the sound. Some issues that I have with it is that it doesn't flip a lot like, well, mine, all preference here. I'm a big fan of knives that flip like the Monarch. This is like my favorite knife. And the Monarch got a lot of ass weight. It really carries. This knife moves so fast. It's kind of crazy, but it's also because it's crazy light. And it also makes my fans a little weird. Like, I have issues keeping them going for long. Like, I have to really feel out the weight and just put the perfect amount of force into it, because if I push it too hard, it just won't fan right. And I have to get my finger right in the right spot. Compared to the Monarch or any of the other knives that I currently own, which not a lot at the moment, just seems to want to go for me. Overall though, would I recommend it? Yeah, I'd say I recommend it. Wouldn't necessarily go with the heat treat finish. Personally, you know, wouldn't go with the heat treat finish. It's kind of a kind of thing for me. But you know, I'd spend some time just rounding the edges or doing something like that. But for a full custom, well, I don't want to say custom, a full production, mid-production, something like that, you know, a guy is producing these all by himself. This is impressive. And it really shows. I mean, he did a good job on this knife. Probably cut to some B-roll or something like that. But yeah, if you have any questions, anything like that, you know, feel free to leave a comment, shoot me a DM, something like that. I'll drop the owner's down in the description. And then, you know, if you like this video, I'll be posting a good bit today because I'm home. But if you like this video, feel free to leave a like or a comment, you know, anything you got questions about, I'm sure I'll be able to help you. There's another knife I'm working on for this guy. We've got a 51. I want to find it. I just had that thing. Here it is. But he also sent me this 51 to work on. This was his first knife. Of course, it's in a BRS box. First knife ever, and he just wants me to make her look pretty again. So I'll be probably posting some stuff with this. Maybe not making a video on it. Maybe. I'm not really sure just yet. But so far, you know, I replaced one of the screws, which is why it looks a little bit different. Still T6. Just not as dull because this is like a brand new spanking T6. But yeah, apart from that, you know, if you want to reach out to me real quick, like this guy did, the easiest way to do that is at cut.my.finger on Instagram, like periods, not spelling of dot, but that's an easy place to reach me. And then, yeah, maybe I'll put some more B-roll or something like that in this video. I'm not really sure just yet, but yeah, that's all I got for the static Knives Artemis. Overall, you know, if I had to put it on a number, I'd be like, you know, 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty solid. Not sure what I'd give a 10 out of 10 to. There's not really a knife that's reached that perfect level of standard just yet. But Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.